on DVD coming this summer. So.
It was mentioned a little bit earlier that originally parents were kind of leery about letting their kids watching this due to all the violence. And going back and looking at some of my favorite things that I used to do as a kid, the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles, which was brought up earlier. Yes, the Power Rangers, there was some violence in there, but it was more cartoony violence. And if anybody here's ever read the original comic books of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was really, really violent. So
it's funny because my mom used to work in the school system back in Texas, and whenever I would go back to visit and see her at the school, one of the teachers would corner me and say, you know, your show's a bad influence on our kids, they're fighting on the playground. And I'm like, okay, well, I grew up with G.I. Joe, and on the playground we would go around and shoot each other with guns. I mean, what's the difference? And I would try to tell them about the positive influence of the show, and they wouldn't have anything of it. It's like, you know, tell these kids to stop fighting. I'm like, okay, stop fighting.
That's where the PSA came from, right?
What's that?
That's where the PSA came from, right?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, they really wanted to deliver. Again, it was part of the writers' efforts to make sure that these characters were projected in a positive light, that they had positive messages to say to the kids, rather than violence was used as a last resort. You know, the Rangers were all about trying to do things in a passive way rather than an aggressive way.
I remember when I started rewatching, it was, let's see, right before heading into college, I started watching Power Rangers Wild Force because that was the last series I started watching but never finished because it stopped airing on Fox Kids when I was watching it. So I go back and rewatch and I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Why am I watching this? But it ended up being worth it because I got to write a paper about it that year. So.
Yeah, hey, my name is Jose. How I started watching it again was actually through a series of events. And what happened is that I was playing a game, High Speed Rescue. And then with that, led me to, like, my mind would kind of wonder, like, where did all this stuff come from? This knocks me back down to the actual series, the Super Sentai. And then I start seeing how it evolved until we get to Cruise Sentai Zurei. And this is where, of course, we get my Morphin. And what I do now is I compare and contrast, not between that series, but throughout all the other series after. So, like, and what I found really interesting when Tomeki Sentai Go Busters, which is one that currently just came out, they were, when they transform, they say, it's Morphin time. And also, when they get in the giant robots, they refer to them as Zords. So already they acknowledge our presence, our series, and their influence on their series. So it's nice. It's like a nice little trade back and forth thing. So hopefully they'll merge in the future or something like that.
That'd be fun. Power Rangers versus Super Sentai. That'd be so great.
So I started rewatching Power Rangers sometime last summer. Now, I'm a poor college student, so I couldn't afford Netflix, so I used the other way that a tech-savvy college student would use, and acquired the entire first season. So I watched the first 2 episodes, and oh god, this is so cheesy. How did I enjoy this as a kid? A couple hours later, I get hit upside the head with nostalgia. And within about 2-3 days, I watched the entire first season.
What do you guys think of seasons after Mighty Morphin? Like, what do you guys think?
Up until in space, it was good. Lost Galaxy when they lost it.
Yeah, to that question, I'm not gonna lie. I felt kind of betrayed that they had to switch the Zach and Trinity. Because like I grew up with the first one. I mean, like Adam and Aisha was like a great replacement. It's just that it wasn't the same, but it was going in a good direction afterwards. But yeah, that caused a lot of fights on the playground. It really did, especially when everyone else knew who they were going to be. When you just had only the person who was going to be Tommy and the person who was going to be
because you never know, you may really like the season if you never thought you would. I know that I enjoy pretty much all of the seasons up until Wild Force, and then I like Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder a lot too. I don't really like anything other than that, because that's when production team got turned a little bit, and I don't know. I'm not a huge fan after that, but anything else, like I love Time Force, I love, In Space is actually, I think, my favorite season. Yeah, so just check them out. You know, you may be surprised.
The Power Rangers, I kept up with them all after Mighty Morphin. And the two that were my most favorite, one was Dino Thunder, because I loved dinosaurs as a kid too. So seeing that and seeing Tommy come back was just really cool to see happen. And then my all-time favorite was Power Rangers Wild Force. Just because I liked the way that they did it, and the animation style that they had for the Zords when they weren't like in robot form or anything was really cool to watch. And it was cool to see like the evolution of Merrick from like an evil wolf ward back into a noble Power Ranger and beat the Silver Wolf Power Ranger. It was really cool to watch. And that will probably be one of my most favorite, unless they make non-origami Zords next time for Samurai.
Guys, this is a time check. There's 15 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get as many stories in as I can.
Hey, I'm Marissa, and I'm not going to lie, I have seen like all of the seasons my whole family afterwards, except for like the last half of RPG, just because that's what it's called, I remember. I was unable to watch like the last half of it, and I don't watch the current one because I've seen a couple episodes and I'm like, that's terrible. Like, the acting is bad, the storylines are bad, and I'm just like, don't waste your time on it, it's terrible. And like my mom, she always liked Power Rangers. She liked Tommy. She would watch it with me, not for the parental guidance thing, but just because she liked watching it too. And she liked watching Tommy. She'd be like, is Tommy on? And I was like, yeah, there's Tommy. And she liked the positive messages, especially at the end of every episode. They would say a positive message, and she really liked that. She liked the good influence, and she thought it was a cute show. So she never found a bad thing for me to watch.
Hello. I'm so embarrassed. My name's Sally. I don't really remember watching Power Rangers at all. Like, my dad says I did, but I don't really remember. I remember the ooze guy. That's what I remember. I remember he was gross. Like, he grossed me out so much because everywhere he walked, he looked like grape jelly, and it bothered me. But so I didn't really get into it all that much. Like, I still have I think I have an action figure of the Pink Ranger in her Zord, but that's about it. I run an anime club at my college, and we decided to change our live action to something else. So my friend brought in the Pirate Power Rangers, which was the newest one at the time. So I watched it, I'm like, I'm not gonna like this. This is gonna be terrible. And then I watched it, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, oh my god, this is the best. Because they can use all the other powers of the other Rangers, but they have to learn a life lesson first. What was it? Like, they have to accept some flaw about themselves and then improve on it. And then the other Rangers are like, yeah, here's my power, here you go, kind of thing. So that got me into other stuff like Kamen Rider and all the other. Now I want to watch all the other series and get more into it.
Yeah, she was talking about Go Kaiser. That was the last newest season in Japan, and we will be getting an adaptation of that for next year's Power Rangers series. It's pirate themed.
The recent one that I watched the most of was Ninja Storm, the most recent one. And I really liked that one. I was older and should I be watching Power Rangers or will I be watching Power Rangers? I've watched some most recent one, the Samurai one, with my sister, and I actually kind of like it. It's got Bulk in it, and he's always great, and I like the cheesiness, because it's like, it's not Power Rangers if it's not cheesy. Come on.
So you asked us to tell our nostalgia stories about Power Rangers, but what about you, Dave? Have you watched any of the Power Rangers recently? You haven't seen it since you worked on it?
Sad to say, no. My viewing habits have been. I'm a huge Marvel Comics fan, so I spend a lot of my time reading and watching and waiting for the next Marvel movie. I mean, as much as you guys geek out over Power Rangers, I am so psyched for the Avengers movie. It's not That's awesome. And if I ever got a chance to be anywhere near Captain America,